How good of a city actually is Wizard City? I've done my best to create an approximation of Wizard City using a state-of-the-art simulator known as Cities Skylines, one of my favorite games that I've played. Now, I've created Wizard City as best I can, from Unicorn Way to the shopping district, even Cyclops Lane, Triton Avenue, and Firecat Alley. Now, the way I did this was to map out the entirety of Wizard City, going area by area, figuring out this is what the commons would look like, putting different buildings in different areas, and then looking at the street layout for different areas. So you can see this is Ravenwood up here, Nightside and Sunken City, Unicorn Way, the Pet Pavilion, the Shopping District, Colossus Boulevard, Firecat Alley extends all the way down here, Triton Avenue extends along this very long area, and Cyclops Lane goes all the way out to here. There's an inclusion of the Dark Cave to connect Cyclops Lane and Firecat Alley, and you have the Haunted Cave coming off of Triton Avenue. Now, I did have to take some creative liberties, such as I can't have a giant tree, so instead this is Bartleby, and he is powering the entire Wizard City with his magic. Basically 2 nuclear power plants and a solar plant to power the entire city. There are 2 entrances from the outside world, one into Old Town where Baldur Goldpaws would be stationed, and one leading all the way to the World Door in Bartleby. There are the 6 schools found around Ravenwood, and a building for elder care right off the commons where Headmaster Ambrose can be found. So with a semi-accurate layout of Wizard City, and trying to stay as accurate with where housing, shopping, and industry would be placed, how functional as a city really is Wizard City? And the answer is not very functional. And you can see that I am deeply in the red. I am not making money in the city. Population's pretty stagnant, around 11,500. And there's lots of abandoned buildings and sickness everywhere because that's just the way that the Wizard City is set up. I try to keep all the garbage found around Golem Court, since the catacombs and the drains are found there, as well as anytime there is a tower, those would be high-rise buildings while everything else would be single-family homes. The only industry can really be found around Bartleby, since that is kind of the only industry in Wizard City is magic, as well as Triton Avenue, which is really one of the only places that feels like an industrial zone within the city. Within the shopping district, there are plenty of shops, and that is satisfied most of the time. And there really are a lot of people living around here, but there just happens to be so many issues with sickness because there aren't that many places for people to get better. I've tried to allocate things where it makes sense, like the Hedge Maze and Unicorn Way are hospitals, which that makes sense for a life zone to have a lot of healing in it, especially since that's where you learn Fairy and Pixie. And you can see all of these ambulances going into the Hedge Maze. And you can even see that all of the places are named accordingly. I even have Black Hope Court here for where Black Hope Tower is. Here's the arena. This is all supposed to be Brisk Breeze Tower just to provide some more housing. But even with all these creative liberties, there's just not enough ways for Wizard City to make money, to be a functional city, as well as there's so much housing around here, but there's nowhere for people to really work. Everyone either is going to work in the shopping district or in Ravenwood, and otherwise there really isn't that much to do in Wizard City. Even though the population can be stagnant or grow quite a bit, it really doesn't seem to be that much of a functional city. I've even had to take some of the liberties of trying to allocate all the taxes so that they're empty, and even when I increase the budget all the way up for everything, the city still functions pretty well, but I start to lose even more money, obviously because of how much that I have to spend on expenses. So overall, I think it was a very fun challenge to try and design Wizard City within this game, even though it's not a perfect adaptation, such as the way that the tiering works. There's no water in the commons, there's no rivers in the places they're supposed to be. I think it still works as a very good approximation to tell how good of a city it is, and as we can see, using magic to be able to pay all the bills anyway, there still does not seem to be a very functional city. Would you like to see something similar with other worlds in Wizard 101? How functional of a society are those places actually? I can just imagine trying to make Agrabah or something like Marleybone to see are the worlds actually functional, and trying to find out which Wizard 101 world actually has the most likely ability to be a functional city in the real world. Because obviously Cities Skylines is the most accurate way to figure out if something is functional or not.